One of the most intriguing things about BLUELOCK Season 2, in addition to who was this mystery guy at the end and what was the state Rin unlocked, was actually how did Kunigami survive and what is this wildcard thing? Also, why does he look like he's been through hell just to get to that point? Well, that's what we are going to answer in today's video. Now, for those who did not read the manga, this will contain some minor spoilers. I would not recommend skipping the video, however. That's because what I am about to tell you actually should have happened at the end of Season 1. It should have happened before we get introduced to the final players, because all of this happened in Chapter 88 and 89. It actually should have happened even before the World 5 game. However, for some reason the studio decided to skip the whole thing with Kunigami and Shido. Instead, we only get a mention at the end of the season. Then comes Season 2, which really doesn't have any place for Kunigami and his backstory, and so all of this got skipped. Now, we actually do not know if it would be covered in Season 3. That's because as soon as it starts, we will get an interaction between Isagi and the new Kunigami. And that might be the perfect place for us to get the backstory of how Kunigami lost to Shido. However, there is no guarantee for that, and so I highly recommend listening to this portion of the video. Then when I get to explaining what the wild card is, I will be issuing a real spoilers alert, because there we will get to things that would happen in Season 3. They will not have any significance on the story, so it's not like you should skip it, but I'll give you the warning regardless. And so without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's explore how Kunigami lost in BLUELOCK and then how he crawled back from hell. Let's talk about the tale of the fallen hero. Our story begins right after Kunigami and Ryo lost to Isagi, Barou, and Nagi, and so Ryo and Kunigami are on their way to the 2 vs 2 hall. There we actually see what Kunigami is thinking this whole time. The fact that he lost and the fact that he did not get chosen really was a wake-up call to him. He is that weak, and so Kunigami is really frustrated and he really wants to win so he can fight those guys again. However, there is another concern on his mind, which is Ryo and his mental state. You see, losing Nagi and then losing to Nagi was really heavy on Ryo, and so Kunigami doesn't really know what to make of this situation. However, as he was deep in his thoughts, all of a sudden Ryo wakes him up and tells him that there is something happening in the 2 vs 2 hall. There they find a few players that are actually beaten up to a pulp, and they asked him what the heck happened. One of the poor guys points out at a certain player, whom we've seen him holding Igagori from his head. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the dragon. Welcome to the demon Shido Ryusei. So it turns out that Igagori and Shido are in the same team and they lost their 3 vs 3, and so they are here in the 2 vs 2. However, for us fans of Season 2, it seems really odd. Because Shido is such an oppressive player, how did he actually lose? Well, poor Igagori, as soon as he got his head free from his grip, actually explained what happened. You see, because Shido got bored, he actually attacked the other players and got a red card. There it became 3 on 2, and of course Igagori's team lost. And it goes without saying there is no way for the other team to choose Shido, who just attacked them, or Igagori, who is simply shit. And so they are stuck in the 2 vs 2. However, and because Shido is very judgmental and wants only strong players, he attacked every player in the 2 vs 2 hall. Even his teammate Igagori, because he is shit, he got attacked. And there, as Shido was about to crack Igagori's head, Kunigami comes to the rescue. You have to understand, in the manga we did not know about the zap thing yet, so much like Kunigami, we really thought that he is going to hurt Igagori. However, the orange musclehead comes to the rescue, and it seems that Igo saw that, so he did not zap Shido. And I'm not going to lie, this is one of the coolest things ever, because much like Aiko handled Shido, Kunigami did here easily. Now, Rinsky did not go on the offense, however he had no issue holding off Shido. There, Shido actually is very impressed by Kunigami and challenges him to a match. However, as you all know, Kunigami renounces violence and he's not an idiot to fall for such a pity challenge, as he tells Shido that if he wanna do things right, he needs to play football right. However, and I love this scene about Shido, it really encapsulates his character very well. He leans to Kunigami and tells him, when it comes to soccer, it is my life. And there is nobody in the world that loves soccer as much as me. And there is nobody in the world that loves a fair and square match as much as me. There Ryo intervenes and he tells him, Sure, I'm down. And this kinda shocks Kunigami because it's out of character, right? He seems way too calm for someone who'd just been through hell. However, the latter explains that his teammate is actually Igaguri, and so there is no chance for them to win. And while he is right, Ryo is actually very naive here, because he is a player that knows of the potential of Nagi, and so if Shiro is remotely close to Nagi, then he knows that they are in big trouble. Like imagine facing Rin, facing Yukimiya, facing Karasu here. Hell, you don't need to imagine, they are going to face the second player in BLUELOCK, Shiro Ryusei. And so Kunigami actually was right to not fall for the challenge, however Ryo convinces him otherwise. It is official, the match is confirmed. And by the way, Shiro is very ecstatic because he finally sees some worthy players and he is very excited for the match. And this is something I love because as you will see, Shiro will not get physical once. Much like it was the case against Karasu and Otoya, if Shiro is enjoying the match, he will not get physical. In any case, the match kicks off and the ball is in Kunigami's feet. He passes it to Ryo, who is immediately pressed by Shiro. There, something very disturbing hits Ryo. Shiro is surprisingly fast, like he doesn't really seem that way, but he came to him very quickly. And so he does the very rational thing and passes the ball back to Kunigami. However, because the monk is so shit and he can't stop him, Kunigami is just counting the meters so he can get into his range and shoot the opening goal. But, and all of a sudden, Shiro explodes into this scene and tells Kunigami that you need one more step, right? And he takes the ball away from him, giving it to Igaguri. This actually shakes both Kunigami and Ryo. As we see, Shiro tells them, "This is your current level. I saw right through you." And it's time, ladies and gentlemen, for the counterattack. We see Igaguri makes an awful attempt at crosses against Ryo, who completely sees right through him. However, as Ryo was about to take the ball, Igaguri introduces his weapon, which is actually so shit you will not believe it. What Igaguri does is trick the VR into thinking that Ryo fouled him by tripping over the latter, and if you could believe it, it actually worked on Ryo, and the VR gave a foul to Igaguri, who is actually laughing and giggling at Ryo couldn't believe it and he is so mad at him. In any case, Igaguri passes the ball to Shiro, who is against Kunigami. However, Shiro seems very at ease, because even though Kunigami is very strong, he was shaken by Shiro. It seems that this demon packs quite the punch for someone as skinny as he is. However, as you all know, Kunigami is the best at holding the ball, and Shiro is not really great at dribbling, and so forcing his way through did not work. But you already know it, Shiro's weapon is off-the-ball movement, so he passes it back to Igaguri and starts trying to shake off Kunigami. And by the way, throughout this, Shiro is very chatty with Kunigami, telling him that football to him is not a sport or a dream, it is life in itself. In any case, Shiro tries and shake off Kunigami off the ball. However, that was to no avail. Again, Kunigami is the best at holding position as we've seen him against Barou, Isagi and Nagi. And as you all know it, Igaguri is so shit, because he could not even do a simple pass, as we see Ryo tries to block it. However, the ball flies towards Shiro and Kunigami, but it is behind them, and so Kunigami is relieved because he thinks it is impossible for Shiro to do anything. He cannot beat him physically and the ball is behind him, it's not like he's going to shoot directly. However, Shiro pulls off an escanor and tells him who decides what's impossible. As we see the latter, in the same fashion as Nagi, jumps into the air and do a bicycle kick over his head and over Kunigami's head, who is by the way very shocked. A direct line drive from there? What the hell is happening? And it was that easy. Shiro scores the opening, and both Kunigami and Ryo are very shook, while Shiro is very happy because they are at least giving him somewhat of a challenge. But for our hero and Ryo, things look very dire. It seems that they underestimated this demon. And what's really annoying about this, you all know that Shiro actually chose Ryo at the end, and so Kunigami suffered because Ryo underestimated Shiro. However, that's all we've got from this match. We actually got one goal shown, and so we really do not know how the rest of the game went. All we know that Kunigami actually lost. But we did not know this immediately. We actually do not hear from Kunigami again until that time at the end of season 1. There we get a glimpse after the match. We see Kunigami alone in the 2 vs 2 field, and he is recalling what happened after the game. Igaguri is very happy and Shiro is the one who chose Ryo. He tells Kunigami, "I'd rather have the purple-haired guy over a naive hero like you. People who cannot destroy themselves can never create explosions." And this really hit Kunigami very hard. as then we get the scene we got at the end of season 1, where we see Kunigami walking down the aisle of the loser gate. However, as he was crying and as he was looking down, he actually sees a sign imprinted on the ground, telling him to select whether he wants to go to the exit or go to this thing called the wild card. He doesn't really know what it is and he is very confused by it. However, it seems that it is a second chance to him. And so our hero wastes no motion as he sprints down the wild card. He wants to give his dream a second chance. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, Kunigami gets his second chance in the wild card. And this is your second chance, guys, to exit the video if you do not want to get spoiled on what this wildcard is. Now, as I said, this is not a major spoiler. It is kind of a spoiler, but it doesn't have any significance on the story coming up, except for making Kunigami a strong player. And also, I will be skipping every interaction he had with Isagi and the rest of the Blue Lockers, because I just want to explain what the wildcard is. So simply put, the wildcard was an experiment by Ego to create a vessel, a player that would possess the same body as Noah, which means it was a hellish training to get some teenagers to have the body of the best athlete in the world of football. And that was about it. It was a survival battle, and whoever could get the closest to Noah is the winner of that survival battle. And because Kunigami had that insane physique, there was no other player who could get closer than him. And for those who are wondering, yes, this means he crushed every loser who chose to go to the wild card, which could include his former teammates of Team Z. But that's the story of Kunigami and how he crawled back from hell. As described by Kunigami, the wildcard training was nothing but hell, and the weary look on his face really tells that story. It seems that Ego really pushed them to their absolute limit. And for good reason too. This is a second chance, and so it needed to be as hellish as possible. However, that's all I've got for you today, guys. I really hope you understood what happened to Kunigami and how he crawled back from hell. And also, I really hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, thank you for watching.